I'm a plant-based pharmacist turned herbalist, and I started my journey simply by trying to heal myself. I was diagnosed with high blood pressure when I was 16, and it didn't matter that I was an athlete. I only had like 5% body fat. I still got high blood pressure.
Wow.
And so I lived with high blood pressure for about a decade, and I saw all of my grandparents die by the time I was in the 10th grade. I saw a lot of family members die of diabetes, heart disease, etc. And I just didn't want that for me. And because I was working in the hospital and being a black doctor in the hospital, people looked for me as a source, and I felt like a hypocrite because I was unhealthy in the hospital, giving out health advice.
Wow.
And so I started this journey trying to figure out how to heal myself, and I tried everything, Ashcash. I tried every diet you can think of, these Nutrisystems, Shanti, like you name it, I tried it and it didn't work. I would lose like 5 pounds. My blood pressure would go down a little bit, go right back up. And out of desperation, I said, you know what, I'm gonna try herbs, because I was already a herbalist, even though I was a pharmacist. And I was gonna do a plant-based diet for 21 days, and in 21 days, I lost 17 pounds, and it dropped my blood pressure by 10 points.
Wow.
And so it kept dropping as I stayed on the journey, and soon people at the hospital started seeing me. They were like, man, you're fading away. Like, you got a visible neckline now, your white coat is hanging off you, your skin is better.
Yeah.
And so people wanted to know what I was doing, and so I literally grabbed the prescription pad and started writing down, this is what I did, go do it for 30 days, let me know how it goes. And people were coming back like, yo, it worked.
Wow.
And when people started calling the pharmacy and saying, hey, uncle, he did that thing you gave him, like I was wondering, can I get one too? And I'm like, wait, what are you asking him?
Right.
He was like, oh, I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't have called. I know how this probably can get you messed up. And that was the light bulb. It was like actually healing people
So
was dangerous.
Wait. They call it the pharmacy for not a prescription, but for the other prescription.
Yeah. That prescription.
Right, that prescription.
And so that was the light bulb, like, damn, like we're not in the business of healing. Like at the hospital, it's like we got sick care, not health care. And so it was like, all right, so what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And so it just sent me off on this journey where, I moved to Japan for 4 years and sort of study a group of people there who lived to 100, no disease, eat primarily a plant-based lifestyle, and lived there for 4 years. And then I just took off going around the world studying with anybody who would let me in their village or, whatever, learn about herbalism, learn about Ayurvedic medicine in India, learn about herbalism in Africa, just traveling the world with whoever I could study, and then came back here where I wrote the book, Vegucation over Medication.
Which is a wonder, like this book is so powerful because I want to say most books that are trying to teach you about health don't necessarily relate to you, right? Like it's not written in a way where, it feels like academic wrote it, right? But this one, it feels like we having a conversation. Like I'm envisioning your journey. I'm seeing, as you're going to, to Japan and India, like I'm feeling the conversations that you're having. What would you say is the biggest lesson that you learned in the 4 years of being with Centaurians, people who like not just one person, right? Like in our community, we might, if we see it, we might see one person. Oh, my grandmother lived to 100. A whole village of Centaurians. What's the biggest lesson you learned there?
Man, the biggest lesson was like the shock value of seeing these people who are 97, 102, 105 ride bicycles up hills, farm, walk, have fluid conversations. Like that was the biggest lesson. It was like the idea that I have about aging is not the idea that was intended for us. And so that was one of the big shock values there. And then the other lesson that was very valuable to me was that when we find ourselves in alignment with nature, because we got so out of line with nature, when we find ourselves realigning back with nature, we rediscover ourselves. And once we rediscover ourselves, we discover the highest versions of ourselves. And that was what I was seeing with these people. Like they were just happy, no stress, loving. And to be able to experience that every weekend for 4 years, I just wanted to bring it back to the Black community because I'm like, I used to experience this growing up with my great grandparents. Like they lived on a farm, like everything, when they made a meal, they went outside to grab the food, to grab the vegetables, like they grew everything. And so I was like, I'm watching them in Japan, but I'm like, this looked like my great grandparents. And my grandmother lived to 105.
Wow, bless.
her daughter, my grandmother, lived to 67. The lifestyle shift.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? But my great grandmother stayed within alignment with nature. She never left that. And so that was the biggest lesson I learned, was that not only do these people have the secrets, but we had the secret. We gave it up for conveniences. Yeah.
So if I hear you correctly, convenience will kill.
It's like, even in being an entrepreneur, like, everybody want to take the short way.
Right.
And you can make money the short way.
Yeah.
But this is a long game. It's a marathon.
Right.
Like, you're building a business for generational wealth.
Right.
And so it's the same thing with health. Is the philosophies are literally parallel.
Yeah.
If you want to build generational health, there is no short path to it.
Yeah.
It's work, it's discipline,
Yeah.
it's alignment, it's commitment, it's knowing your why, it's all of these things. And so, yeah, it's no short game to it, man.
Yeah. Let's talk about the biggest drug that exists, right? Because, when you think about the war on drugs, we think about crack, cocaine, opium, fentanyl now. But there's a drug that's equally or maybe worse than any of what I just named, but somehow it's illegal.
Yeah.
Somehow it's in every single thing that we consume.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that drug.
Man, that's sugar. And if I had to break it out even further, it's really food today. Because food has been like it's been deviled up. Like, our concept of what is food is not really food.
Yeah.
Because most of what we eating is in a box, bag, can, jar, etc. And that means that it's been processed. That means food chemicals have been added to it.
Yeah.
It means it's been changed from its original state.
Yeah.
But by far, the most dangerous of those foods is sugar.
Wow.
And the reason why it's so dangerous is because if you look out in nature, you will not find a sugar tree anywhere. You won't find a sugar tree, a sugar bush, a sugar branch. It just doesn't exist.
Right.
And so what happens is we have to pull it out of something. We have to pull sugars out of beets. We have to pull it out of cane, or we manufacture it and call it high fructose corn syrup, and it's synthetic.
Yeah.
And so what happens is our body's primary fuel is sugar, but what we're putting in our body is not the way that our body was designed to receive sugar. So when it comes in that way, unadulterated, and it comes in that way unattached to fiber, because when you look at it inside of fruits, for instance, fruits have fiber attached to sugar. So what happens when you eat it, it's like you eat the sugar, and it's like that grandfather who don't want to give up no money and he give you a quarter each time. That's what happens in our blood. Like, the sugar is being released slowly, which is healthy for you. It gives the insulin time to come, grab it up, take it to the muscle and say, hey, you go inside of there, give the muscle some energy.
Yeah.
But when you don't have that fiber there, it's like literally taking wads of money and like throwing it out in the blood. And the insulin's like, I don't know what to do with it. So that's why diabetes is so prevalent. And the unfortunate thing about sugar, and I talk about this in my book, I have a whole chapter dedicated to sugar, is that sugar is more addictive than cocaine and all the illicit drugs.
Wow.
And the other unfortunate thing is that sugar feeds cancer. And we know this because when somebody gets cancer, one of the primary things we do when you come in, we'll do a PET scan. And a PET scan is like taking a cube of sugar and putting radiation dye on it. And when they inject that into the body and it goes out into the blood and goes all over the body, the tissue that is highlighted, that is eating the most sugar, is the cancerous tissue. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's why we do a PET scan.
Wow.
Because cancerous cells or tumors, they love sugar even more than our own body.
Wow.
And so it tells you what sugar is doing to us. So that's one of the primary ways, unfortunately, you can help yourself get away from cancer. But the unfortunate thing is, sugar is ultimately in everything today,
Right. And you said sugar is even more or can be more addictive than cocaine.
Yeah, in studies, they've shown this, they've proven it with rats. And so what they'll do is they'll give a rat two sides they can go to and choose.
Yeah.
And they'll choose both. They'll try this one and then they'll try that one, and before you know it, like, they are addicted to the sugar.
Wow.
And then when you take it away, they have the same effects that the rat would have had if they were addicted to cocaine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so
That's why everybody say that's sweet tooth. But it's so benign when we say that. You're like, I got a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
Like, we say it real cool, but we don't understand what it's doing to our body. So it's not just cancer, it's the inflammation in your body.
Yeah.
It ruins our gut. It suppresses our immune system.
Yeah.
It causes us to have fatigue because what happens is the sugar high goes up, right? You get the energy, and then what it does, drops
Crash.
you.